Welcome everybody. My name's Anne. I'm the Purple Goddess, and I'm happy to have a brief time with you today to talk about something called Imbolc. And we're going to talk about 5 ways that you and your family can celebrate this ancient Celtic festival. The Celtic Wheel of the Year is a way to have spirituality in your life and following the cycles of nature. It's something that I've enjoyed for a number of years now. And the Celtic Wheel of the Year starts February 2nd with something called Imbolc. So happy Imbolc. It's Imbolc, and Imbolc means in the belly. And what it means is that spring is in the belly, ready to come out. It's going to take a little while longer. But our culture talks about February 2nd as Groundhog Day. But actually, Groundhog Day has ancient history, and Imbolc is one of them. So I'm hoping that you can take away from this video today 5 things that you can do to honor this cycle of the year. So the first one is, you ready? The first one is every year at this time, I go for a nature walk, which for those of us who live in an urban setting is always a little bit of a challenge. But I have a few parks that I go to, and I'm always looking for, through the snow and the ice, because it's winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm always looking for, what can you guess I might be looking for that might be a sign of spring? It's a little green shoot that comes up through the earth. And yesterday I went and it took a long walk, and it took a long time to find it, but I eventually found the beginnings of a little green, I think, crocus that's coming up from the earth. Normally usually I can find this. Now, if you can't find a crocus bursting through or trying to push through the earth, the other thing you can do is to go to a store and buy a crocus plant. Now, you could say, where am I going to find a crocus plant at the beginning of February? Well, a week ago, I went to a little grocery store and asked if they had a crocus plant, and they said yes. And I said, now, because I'm the Purple Goddess, let's look through all the tags and see if we can find one. So this is a good hunt to go on to if you can get to a florist shop or just a regular little grocery store. Sometimes if they sell plants, they will have this time of year crocus plant. So buy yourself a crocus plant and look for one on your nature walk. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to understand that Imbolc is connected to a fabulous goddess by the name of Bridget. And Bridget comes from Ireland. And so if we were in Ireland right now, there'd be all kinds of things that would be honoring Bridget at this time of year. And Bridget is a legend that's got a 5,000-year history. There's all kinds of teachings about the legend of Bridget. And over the years, people began calling their children Bridget, little girls Bridget. And when Christianity came to Ireland, they had convents and so on. And there eventually became a very famous nun by the name of Bridget, who eventually was called Saint Bridget. So Ireland is very Bridget-oriented, but it's got a long history of a goddess that had red hair, and the legend of a goddess that had red hair, and she was associated with fire and water and smithcraft and all kinds of interesting things. But her symbol is something that's called, I'm going to show it to you, the Bridget's Cross. Are you ready? Here it is. So this is the Bridget's Cross. And part of what families used to do, and you could do this as a family now with children or grandchildren or just friends, the legend has it that the family would go out by the pond on their property and pick reeds. These are reeds. And they would gather around a table and they would make Bridget's Cross. And the Bridget's Cross has a lot of symbolism to it, and most crosses are associated with the directions of north, south, east, and west, of the elements of earth, air, fire, and water, and the colors, black, red, yellow and white. And so the cross is just kind of a sacred symbol, but it comes from pre-Christian symbolism of the cross comes from making this kind of thing from the earth. Now, if you're with children or grandchildren or want to make a Bridget's cross yourself and you don't have access to reeds by the pond outside, you could get something like this for fun. These are pipe cleaners that are made out of sparkles. Of course, Purple Goddess would have sparkle pipe cleaners. And you can make a Bridget's cross out of something like this. And all you have to do is Google or go to YouTube and type in, how do you make a Bridget's cross? And a whole tutorial will come up and show you how to make the cross. And if you don't have the materials to make a Bridget's cross, you can draw one and maybe put it on your altar or prop it up as a reminder of Imbolc and the season of Imbolc. If you were in Ireland right now, there'd be all kinds of Bridget crosses everywhere. Here's a little pendant I have that's a Bridget's cross. And it's just very, very prominent. So make it prominent in your life because Bridget has many things to teach us. So crocus plant number 1, Bridget's cross number 2, number 3 is fire. Where are you going to during this season of Imbolc? And Imbolc lasts till spring equinox, which is the end of March. So we have a nice long season of Imbolc here to think about how we're going to refire our life. I tell people when they get to a point of retiring themselves from a particular career, don't think about retiring themselves, think about refiring themselves. You know, I had a long career as a social worker, and when I finished that cycle in my life, I refired myself as the Purple Goddess, and I'm having lots of fun doing teachings and tarot readings and all kinds of different things connected to my business. So you too can refire your life. In Ireland, there is a sacred flame that's never put out in honor of Bridget. And it's a reminder, it's sort of like a pilgrimage site. People can go and think about the eternal flame that's within all of us and that we don't ever want that flame to go out, do we? There's also, refirement on our planet right now. This video's being filmed during a world pandemic. And all kinds of different, political things are happening. In the recent inauguration in the United States, Katy Perry, who's an American artist, songwriter, and performer, sang the song at the inauguration ceremonies later on in the day, a great song that she wrote called Baby You're a Firework. There's fireworks that were going off, Washington, D.C. It was sort of like heralding a new era. So fire, think about where you're going to refire your life. The 4th gift that we get at Imbolc is the gift of water in the sacred well. In ancient cultures, people would gather around the sacred well and they would talk, and it would be a real gathering point. And I want you to think about water as a metaphor. In the sacred well, think about your sacred well inside yourself. And if you could put an imaginary bucket down your well, what kind of stuff could you pull out that would begin to cleanse yourself and help you start your life anew during this season? So if you put the bucket down, are you going to hit frozen water? And if you are, this is an opportunity to deal with emotions that are kind of stuck down there. Some of us feel really deeply, but it's hard for us to get those emotions up. And it's great to watch, for me, it's great to watch my nieces and nephews raising their young families and their little children. When you talk to them, sometimes the children say, I'm feeling sad today. And it's just amazing to me that a new generation of parents is teaching children about feelings, to identify them and to express them. Many of us grew up in a generation where our feelings were stuffed down. We didn't even know as children we had feelings. So the sacred well within you is an opportunity to thaw that which might be frozen and to bring up that water and to also nourish yourself with water. Every morning I wake up with a warm glass of water and a slice of lemon And it's a reminder that water is essential to our life, both from a metaphorical point of view and a practical point of view. Now, the last gift I want to suggest that we have at this season of Imbolc is, I'm saving the best till the last. Bridget, the goddess Bridget and all her legend, and Saint Bridget were associated with poetry. And I think poetry is making a comeback in our culture right now. And when I was on the Greek pilgrimage, the goddess pilgrimage in Crete with Carol P. Christ, who's the leader of this amazing pilgrimage, we had an opportunity. She passed around these little tiny poetry books of the poet Sappho, who was 17th century Greek poet, who wrote poems that perhaps would be a little on the erotic side, and they would be read to music. So, here we were each given an opportunity to take a look at Sappho's poetry, pick one, and later on we were all in a group in a circle, and we each got to read a little bit of Sappho's poetry. It was amazing. So I want to get you to think about writing a poem during this season of Imbolc. Valentine's Day is coming up, for example, and this might be a beautiful opportunity to write a poem to your beloved. And if you don't have a beloved, you could write a poem to yourself as the beloved. Or you could write a poem to somebody else. You could get your children, grandchildren involved in writing a little poem. Writing poetry is not that difficult, and it's a creative exercise that we can do during this season. So thank you for this opportunity of visiting me in this video. And here are a summary again of the 5 things that represent Imbolc. Okay. The first is get yourself a crocus plant or go for a walk. And if you see a crocus coming up through the earth, take a picture of it. That's the first one. The second one is Bridget's Cross. It's a beautiful opportunity to make a Bridget's Cross or to draw a Bridget's Cross. Put it up in front of you as a reminder of the directions of life and the elements of life, the sacredness of life. The third is about fire. Don't let the fire in your belly go out. Continue to fan the flame of your fire. And the next one is water. Put that bucket down and bring up the emotions you need to bring up. Do some thawing and drink some water. And the 5th way to celebrate Imbolc is to write a poem. That would be a great thing to do. I'm going to hit the singing bowl just once to sign off here and to thank you for this little visit. Blessed be this season of Imbolc. May you enjoy the time of rekindling that which is in the belly, and because the next season in the Celtic wheel of the year, which we're going to be looking forward to, is spring equinox. Bye for now.